Hello everyone. Welcome to your easy guide to cracking the English section of CLAT examination. So at this point I would say the Ram Katha is pretty much over for the reading comprehension part. Like we have discussed the methodologies, we have discussed various types of questions, we have discussed the strategies to deal with those questions. We have also talked about the various elimination techniques and how to employ them. So most of the Ram Katha for this module of reading comprehension is over. There are a couple of things related to grammar and the vocabulary that are still left that we will discuss in the following sections, but most of it is over in terms of learning the various skills or tools. Now it's time to apply these tools and solve the question. So I think today's session is going to be very much fun because we are going to practice all that we have learned. Because until and unless we learn to apply everything that we have learned, it wouldn't make any sense. So let's start today's session. So this is your first practice comprehension. I would suggest that you start doing the first, you attempt the question on your own. You read the passage and see if you're able to employ the methodologies and everything that we have discussed. And then I will solve the question and we'll see where we are. Okay. So I will quickly flash each and every screen. You can pause and then read it. And then once this is over, I will read it for you and we'll together solve the question. Okay. So at this point, you can just pause the screen and read the thing for yourself. Now you can pause the screen and read the thing for yourself. Again, you can pause the screen at this point and read the thing for yourself. Pause the screen and read this question for yourself. Again, you can pause the screen and read the question for yourself. Same, need I repeat? Same, you can read the question and solve it. Okay, so I assume at this point that you have read the passage and you have solved the question. So let's do the passage together now. So the passage is titled The Sustainability Paradox. So paradox is something when you have two opposite situations together and some sort of discussion of opposites in one place is being discussed here. So let's see what opposites are being discussed in the domain of sustainability in the passage. So the passage reads that in an era marked by increasing awareness on environmental degradation, the term sustainability has gained unprecedented traction. So at this point, we see that author has just introduced the concept and the tone is fairly neutral. So at this point, the idea should be okay, starting on a neutral tone. Let's see what happens further. The government pledged carbon neutrality. Corporations advertise green credentials and consumers are encouraged to adopt eco-friendly lifestyles. However, some critics argue that the widespread use of the term has rendered it vague, almost ornamental, used more as a branding tool than as a meaningful commitment to ecological balance. So the moment you come across this line, however some critics argue, you see that one element or one party has been introduced, critics. So just see critics have been introduced and what their viewpoint is, what they are saying. So this is at the end of the first paragraphs, we see that one viewpoint of critics has been introduced. So when you are reading, the moment you come across these things, make a small uh, note in your mind. Okay, this is the point where something of this sort has been introduced. Now, again, like I have told you in previous videos, you cannot keep each and every part of the information in your mind. But again, you have to create stamps in your mind. So critics and their view. You don't have to remember the view, but just the fact that critics are saying something on this line, that widespread use of the term, everybody is saying sustainability, sustainability, but not everybody is really doing anything about it. It has just become ornamental. Ornaments are jewelries. They just become for, like, beauty. On the surface level things are going on and not something in depth has been done on this note. Okay, so getting to the next paragraph, the proponents of mainstream sustainability practices contend that incremental change is both practical and necessary. Now, again, another party has been introduced. These are the proponents of mainstream sustainability practice. So they can be called the pragmatic reformers. Pragmatics are the ones who are practical. So these are the proponents of what mostly the sustainability practices are going on in these days. What do they argue? They argue that shifting consumer habits like choosing reusable products, reducing meat consumption, and supporting green business collectively leads to a significant environmental impact over time. Now, we see that some sort of argument has been introduced here that gradual individual action matters. So, this can also be called incrementalism, increasing slowly, baby steps. What are the baby steps that has been introduced here? Reusable, choosing reusable products, reducing meat consumption. So, again, like argument here is main gradual individual action should matter. So, you don't have to remember each and every example that has been given here, but you should know in this paragraph mostly mainstream sustainability practices are discussed. And what are these? Those gradual individual actions. So here they are saying gradual individual actions matter. So to them, the sustainability is not an idealistic utopia, but a realistic adaptation to global challenges. On the other hand, environmental purists dismiss this incrementalism as greenwashing. Now, third party has been introduced, the environmental purists, and their viewpoint is then further introduced. They claim that true sustainability demands systemic overhaul, rethinking the entire economic model based on growth and consumption. So, contrary to what was discussed in the previous paragraph, that some incremental baby steps are required for sustainability practice, the environmental purists are saying no, these small steps are not going to be helpful. We need some systemic reform, some big structural reform that is going to be helpful. So then the paragraph ends. From their perspective, piecemeal efforts means baby steps, small steps. Piecemeal efforts merely delay the real change, providing moral comfort without altering the underlying dynamics that fuel environmental collapse. The, the tension between these two schools of thought, pragmatist, reformist, okay, there are three school of thoughts. Some sort of, I'm sorry, the tension between these schools of thought, pragmatic reformist and radical, oh no, no, sorry, two schools of thought are there. The pragmatist reformists, they are discussing incremental approach. Radical idealists, they are saying structural approach. Okay. It raises a fundamental question: can the world truly achieve sustainability within the framework of current political or economic systems? Or does sustainability require a deeper transformation of societal values and priorities? So we see the structure is mostly that contrast between the viewpoint has been given and the key question has been posed. So at this point, you see that the previous paragraph was one view. This just before this one, this paragraph is another view, and they are both contrasting. And now, what exactly is the question has been introduced. So this structure you keep in your mind. So it will be easy for you to come back to solve the questions. Now, adding to this debate, some economists argue that sustainability must be integrated with social equity. Another viewpoint has been introduced now. Another party has come, the economists. Without addressing the disproportionate burden environmental policies placed on the global south or low income communities, any solution remains ethically incomplete. So, the argument of just transition needed has been introduced here. They propose a just transition framework, ensuring that ecological goals do not worsen social disparities. What does the just transition mean? So basically, just transition means that the transition of sustainability practices. So up until now, we have been following the practices that are not very sustainable because they are harming the environment. So we need to transition to more sustainable practices. For example, green practices. For example, we have been using coal for generating energy for quite some time, but coal produces a lot of emissions, CO2 emissions in the environment. That has been the cause of greenhouse effect and all this heating up of the earth. So now the proponents of the environment sustainability are proposing that we need to move from coal to more sustainable green energy. There could be many different types of green energy, solar energy, hydro energy, and all those. So there is a need of transition. So that transition should be very justified in nature. It should be seen that, for example, a lot of people are employed in coal plants. So a lot of livelihoods depend on coal. So if some sort of transition is made from coal to say solar, so what will happen to these people? And in small income countries, more people are employed in these kind of domain. For example, you might have watched the movie Gangs of Wasseypur. So you see that the region that has been shown in the movie is a coal dominant region. A lot of people are involved in the work. A lot of poor people are involved in that kind of work. So what will happen to those people if the transition is made to solar energy? What will they do? because they don't have any other skill. So it is really needed that some sort of just transition is done. Not, I mean, this transition should have justice in its mind before just a rapid from coal to solar transition is made. So that is the just transition framework. You should generally know this because you might come across this term in any other environment based passage also. So, okay. So the economists are proposing a just transition. So economists are talking about that only, that it okay, it's very much needed that we switch from one type of non-sustainable practice to sustainable practice, but we should also see the justice element. The people who are dependent on the older practices should also be taken into account when we are talking about the transition to green practices. Okay. Now getting to the last paragraph. Thus, the sustainability discourse is not merely about emissions or recycling. It is a contested terrain involving politics, ethics, economics, and philosophy. A complex web where definitions matter and where the path forward is anything but unanimously agreed upon. So this is the main point, that the path to sustainability practice is very complex. It has many dimensions. As we saw that it has justice transition. What about the people who depend on it? It is depend. It has this, whether it is a small problem, it requires baby steps, or it is a structural problem, a bigger overhaul is needed. So it has many aspects in it. So it's not just one small economic debate or just one ethical debate. It is a complex, multi-dimensional. It has many dimensions in it. So this is what the main point of this paragraph is. So when you are reading this, if you keep these stamps, if you make these stamps while reading only, you will have a greater sense of what this passage is about, and then you'll be able to solve the questions in no time. So let's get to the questions now. So the first question, what is the main point? Again, when you had ended the passage reading, you already should have the main point because you've just read them in the last paragraph. So sustainability is too vague to be useful in modern discourse. It doesn't make sense. I mean, sustainability is too vague to be useful. All we are talking about is sustainability, sustainability. So it cannot be useless. So it is too vague to be useful in modern discourse. Again, it is not making sense. It is a very generic and nonsensical option. So you should eliminate it anyway, even if you have not understood the main point. Second is, systemic overhaul is the only path to real environmental change. Again, I had told you, when words like only, all, always, never, these kind of words appear, you should have that chloromint dimag ki batti jal jaye wala thing. The bulb should light up in your brain and you should see that it is an extreme option. So just remove it. Most likely you should, this is not going to be your answer. 99.99% cases. I mean, then even Lifebuoy cannot remove 100% germs. So there is no such thing as 100%. Option C, achieving sustainability is a complex, multidimensional challenge with no single consensus. I mean, even the words are very similar. So the moment you read this, you should just go back to your last paragraph and in 2 seconds you should be able to mark this one. But let's see what is the option D. Incremental changes in lifestyles are the best way to protect the environment. Now, this can be slightly confusing because you think, okay, we saw some of the examples of incremental changes, such as eat consuming less meat or using the recyclable material. Those kind of examples were there. That is a message of only one party. That is a message that is reflected in only one paragraph. That is not the main point of the passage. That is one of the points of many points in the passage. But the main point is option C only, that achieving sustainability is a complex, multi-dimensional challenge with no single consensus. So if you have read the passage, in the last passage itself, you should have reached here and you should have done it in only few seconds. This question should not have taken more than 15 seconds or so. The only the time amount of time that you've invested in reading the question. Now let's see what the question number 2 is. According to environmental purists, mainstream sustainability efforts, again, if you had taken a note of the point where environmental purists were introduced, you will know where to go back in the passage and see which option is the correct. So option A, offer a realistic hope for global improvement. Option B, distract from necessary systemic reforms. Option C, they are effective when coupled with strong consumer support. Option D, should be combined with technological innovation. So what did the environmental purists? Okay. According to environmental purists, mainstreams. Okay, sustainability efforts. Okay, I myself forgot what was the environmental purist argument. So they claim that true sustainability demands systemic overhaul, rethinking the entire economic. Okay, they are effective when coupled with strong consumer support. So, offer a realistic hope for global environment. I mean, there has been no one view that has been giving one global environment related kind of realistic hope. All are giving one dimension. So, this cannot be the answer. Be distract from necessary systemic reform. No, that's not the case. They no, but like they have not distracted from necessary reform. D should be combined with technological innovation. There has been no such talk about technological innovation in the whole paragraph. So D should be easiest to remove. They are effective when coupled with strong consumer support. So it's like it's sort of combined. That's what it is, right? I think this is a bit disputed. So I think for now, although option C looks like the most decent option here, but this is not the best option. So this is my bad. I would request you to delete this question. Okay. Question 3. Which of the following best describes the author's tone in the passage? Again, this one should also not take much of your time. Celebratory and optimistic. Is the author very positive all through, celebrating the different kind of practices and very hopeful that okay, we are almost there, we are doing great and we'll do great kind of thing? If is that the tone of overall passage? B, satirical and mocking. Is the author trying to mock or sort of maybe make fun of or sort of criticizing the in the whole passage? C, balanced and analytical. So is the author trying to analyze various viewpoints? D, frustrated and cynical. So the author has been only critical that okay, this is also wrong, this is also bad, this is also bad, and nothing good is going to ever come out of any viewpoint. We are going to all die, something of that sort. So, which is the tone, do you think? I think the tone is more balanced and analytical. That okay, some so different viewpoints are presented. Viewpoint A says this, viewpoint B says this, viewpoint C says this, and in the end, I mean, analyzing all the viewpoints, and then in the end, the author is saying that it's not a very simple and straightforward issue. It has many dimensions, and all of these may be looked at to find one of the best solutions. So it's more balanced and analytical. Okay. Question 4. What does the author imply by the term has become vague? The term has become vague, almost ornamental. So this line has been given in the passage. What does this line imply? Sustainability is now universally understood and respected. At no place does this kind of thing has been mentioned in the passage. B, the term is often used superficially without substance. C, only governments are responsible for misusing the word. Nowhere has been the government blamed as only. Again, only, isko to just remove this. Option D, environmental purists avoid using the term altogether. Again, like just it's not making sense. So you should be able to reach the option B commonsensically. But like I had said, ornaments are like jewelry that are worn for the outward beauty, to enhance the outward beauty and not for the in-depth kind of thing. So when something is called ornamental, it means that only surface level, it reflects only surface level things. So the term is often used superficially without substance. That's what this line means, that the sustainability term has become vague and almost ornamental. So these days, anything that people, if they want to sell their product, they will call it sustainable. If they want to sell some service, they'll just call it sustainable because it has become very fashionable. So only ornamental, superficial things are going on in the name of sustainability. That's what the author is trying to employ. Okay. Now the fifth question. Which of the following cannot be inferred from the passage? Be aware, in the rush you might just read it can be inferred because that's what you are used to thinking. So when you're reading the question, maybe read a little slower so that you read the question properly. So which of the following cannot be inferred from the passage? A singular definition of sustainability is contested. I think this can be inferred because that's what the main point has been saying. There is a divide between those advocating reform and those demanding revolution. Revolution is radical change, a structural big change, and advocating reforms are smaller piecemeal changes, individual steps that has been discussed. So this is also, we can infer this also from the passage. So there is a divide. C. Economic equality is central to a just sustainability movement. D. All experts believe lifestyle changes are enough to combat climate change. So when we talked about just a transition, economic equality was also discussed. So that can be inferred from the passage. Option D, all experts believe lifestyle changes are enough to combat climate change. This is wrong. We cannot infer this because all experts have different opinions. All opinions are in absolutely different direction. Only one of the category of experts believe that lifestyle changes can help. Those are the pragmatist ones. Other experts have very different views. So option D. So this was our practice passage one. These are your options, and I hope you were able to make sense of how to read the passage and then how to solve the passage. So you do understand that if you had read the passage and if you had made those stamps, if you had made those points clear while reading only, solving the question becomes very easy. I mean, all the questions will take very less amount of time. Even if you might not have to go back to passage, but then again, I insist you do go back to passage because sometimes in the rush there is a like larger scope of committing mistake if you're not going to back to the passage. But because you have made stamp of things in your mind, it will be easier. You'll know where exactly to find that specific answer. So you can go back to passage fast, you can think fast, you have the answer option in your mind even before looking at all the options. So that's how we go about this passage. We'll discuss another passage because this is your previous year passage. So I thought one of the passage we should discuss from the previous years as well. So again, I would first go through the whole passage and the question. So, and I'll pause for a few seconds so that you can just pause the screen, attempt the passage on your own, the questions on your own, and then again, like in the previous passage, we'll do it together. So you can pause the screen and read. You can again pause the screen and read this part of the passage. You can again pause the screen and read this part of the passage. Now the question 1, question 2, question 3. Pause and read the question 3. Now pause and read the question 4. Pause and read and attempt the question 5 and the passage. So I hope at this point you have read through the passage and attempted the questions. So now we'll try to solve this passage together. This passage was I think asked in year 2022. So let's see what this passage is about. So it's discussing cryptocurrencies. Cryptocurrencies are a terrible thing. Now the first line itself is giving you a tone of the passage. Like the author is the tone is negative, and the author is very like negative about cryptocurrencies. So पहले line में you get a very major clue. They are the essence of Ponzi scheme whose value is based entirely on a greater fool prepared to buy it. It's like all completely neutral, cynical tone, you can say. The promise of alchemy turning lead into gold has bewitched humanity throughout the ages, and cryptocurrencies are just the latest alchemy. So, alchemy is the science of turning any metal into gold. So, alchemy was practiced in ancient days. Do not get me wrong, if rich people want to lose their money in this or any other way, they should be allowed to do so. The rich should be the vanguard of new things in case something unforeseen and good falls out of them. Vanguards means the pioneers or the first ones to enter any field. Those are called the vanguards. So the author is saying that the rich should be the ones to enter any new field or should go for any new experiment, because an experiment can lead to positive outcomes as well as negative outcomes. So that there is a lot of risk involved in any new experiment. So the rich people can go for it. They can be the vanguard of new things, the pioneers, the first ones to go for it. But we need to protect those vulnerable consumers whose lives are such that almost any get rich quick scheme will be seductive, and 7 out of 10 times they will lose their life savings. Cryptocurrencies are today's South Sea bubble, one of the earliest recorded financial bubble that took place in 1720s Britain. Meme-based currencies like Dogecoin, Dog Elon Musk, and Doge Dash, I don't know, that's how it's pronounced, remind me of the infamous plan of one company during the South Sea bubble to raise money for carrying on an undertaking of great advantage, but nobody to know what it is. The cryptocurrency bubble is worse than tulip mania. Through the veil of technology, cryptocurrency enthusiasts are leaning on policymakers to permit them to exempt from regulation, privatize money, and make money so disconnected from the economy that it. Okay, I think this is incomplete, this line, but okay, from the economy, let's keep it like that it can be removed. So veil of technology, veil is like a ghungat, like you something to cover. So veil of technology means the technology is so advanced that not everybody gets it, so it's sort of a cover, that under the cover of technology, cryptocurrency enthusiasts are asking for permits, exemptions, privatization of money, and making money disconnected from the economy. So that's the veil of technology. There are many reasons to avoid financial disasters, but one of them is that they ratchet up poverty and inequality. They encourage sort of poverty and inequality. The current money credit system is not perfect, but like democracy, it is the worst system barring all the others. It has evolved from the ashes of the system cryptocurrency enthusiasts are trying to resurrect. The current system is vulnerable to attack because money is little understood. Cryptocurrency enthusiasts have attracted a following based on the fiction that the central bank or government creates money and are busy debasing it in their self interest. This is not the case, but then again, there is some overlap between cryptocurrency advocates, conspiracy theorists, and anti vaxxers. The time has come for someone to stand up for the fiat currency system and explain that while it could be better still, it has been associated with far more growth, much more distributed, and has responded better to economic crisis than what came before. In today's money credit system, banks create money when they issue a loan and place the loan's proceeds into the account of their customers, creating a deposit. Money is, in fact, a tradable debt. The bank's deposit can be used as cash because the bank is a regulated issuer of loans and deposit taker, which gives the deposit credibility and convertibility. The central bank, only influences the creation of money indirectly through the regulatory requirement that the proportion of loans need to be funded by shareholders' profits. They need to have skin in the game. Money creation then is based on thousands of separate decisions by loan officers and is more distributed than a centralized algorithm like Bitcoin. And its supply is determined by the private demand for loans, which means it is closely aligned to the economy. So, this was our passage. Now, this passage had some complicated finance or economics related terms, but I would rather try to solve the question without having an understanding of those terms. For example, there was this term, it's a tradable debt. So you don't have to get into the whole finance thing because the passages are picked from so many different domains. You cannot understand all the concepts of all the subjects. So you have to learn to not know these jargons and yet be able to solve the questions. Because again, the CLAT does not want you to be experts of all the fields. They just want you to be able to smartly read and understand and then solve the questions. Okay. So the question one, which of the following does best describe the attitude of the author towards rich people? So author is concerned about the rich people. Okay, wait. Yeah. So is author concerned about the rich people? Is author assiduous about the rich people? Is author indifferent towards the rich people, or is author sympathetic towards the rich people? Let's see what the author has been saying about rich people. So in this line, do not get me wrong. If rich people want to lose their money in this or any other way, they should be allowed to do so. The rich people should be the vanguard of new things, da, 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 but we need to protect the poor people. So the author is saying that I don't care if their money is being lost. They can afford it. They can take the risk. But we have to care about the rich people. So the author is concerned about, we have to care about the poor people. So the author is concerned about the vulnerable poor people. So author is indifferent towards the rich people. He's like, okay, whatever. They have the money. They can take the risk. They have the risk appetite. Let them do whatever experiments they want to do in their life. So the author is indifferent, reluctant. The author doesn't care much about them. Okay. So the question 2, which of the following is true in the context of passage? The author defends the current money credit system. Okay. The author rejects the idea that central bank or government creates money and are busy debasing it in their self-interest. Option C, the author backs the protection of poor from menace of cryptocurrencies. So what the word menace means, the nuisance of cryptocurrencies, or the sort of chaos, nuisance you can say, of cryptocurrencies. So in this, you see that all these points have been mentioned. The author defends the current money system. The current money credit system is not perfect, but like democracy, it is the worst system barring all the others. So it's like best amongst the worst kind of thing. So it is this is some sort of defend of the money credit system. And what else? So all through, I mean, there are various examples. You can see that the author has been defending the current money credit system and criticizing the Bitcoin. Author rejects the idea that central bank, or I mean, this was also very clearly written about debasing. Yeah, in this paragraph, last paragraph, cryptocurrency enthusiasts have attracted a following based on the fiction. So they are saying it's a fiction. Fiction is something that is not real. Fiction that the central bank or government creates money and are busy debasing it in their self interest. So this is also true. So the moment you see two options are true, it has to be all of the above. So you don't even have to check the third one. If you have found the A and B in the passage, then all of the above can be the only option because A and B are already there. So it has to be all of the above. So D. Now, this question is about rhetorical device. We will do it in detail in our grammar section that is going to be following this section. But okay, this question is, since it's a previous year question, so this question has been here and we'll try to solve it. So which rhetorical device is employed in the line cryptocurrencies are just the latest alchemy? So as I had explained, alchemy is the ancient practice of turning a metal into gold. So well, is it antithesis? Is it a metaphor? Is it personification? Or is it synecdoche? So let's first see what each of these devices are. So antithesis is anti and thesis. So anti word gives some sort of sense of opposite. So when two opposite ideas are combined in one line, it is an antithesis. For example, he talks like a genius but sleeps through the class. So he's a genius, but he's like sleeping is a sign of lethargy and not a very intelligent or a very sincere person. But he's a genius also. So he talks like a genius but sleeps through the class. So two opposites in one line. That's an antithesis. Then metaphor is comparing two things directly. So my brain is potato during exams. So brain and potato are being combined, compared, and they're combined. For example, there is a simile also. For simile, the word like or similar to kind of things are used. My brain starts acting like a potato. That's a simile comparison on using these words. But when some word has been imposed on the example, for example, the potato and brain are called as one. My brain is a potato. Brain becomes potato. Not a comparison that brain is like potato, but brain is a potato. Just imagine your brain and put a potato in your head. So that is the picture that metaphor gives. So the example is imposed on what the thing has been exemplified. So brain is a potato during the exam. So it's a metaphor. Personification. So it's from person. So giving human action to object. So sometimes they say that the alarm clock screamed at me to wake up. So screaming only a human can do. Alarm clock cannot scream, but that action, that human action, has been imposed on a object. It can be done on animals also. Any non-human object or a non-human living being. So giving those qualities, that is personification. So like clock screamed at me to wake up. Then synecdoche, using a part to mean the whole. For example, when you say give me a hand, that means okay, come help me. So here that hand represents the whole you. So that is synecdoche. So when if somebody says give me a hand, doesn't mean you cut your hand and you just give them. That means come, you whole person, come help me. So this is synecdoche. So now when you know the meaning of these devices, it's very easy to find that this is a metaphor. Cryptocurrencies are just the latest alchemy. The cryptocurrencies have been imposed as alchemy. So metaphor. Now, which of the following does best describe the passage? Argumentative and explanatory, descriptive and argumentative, narrative and explanatory, expository and argumentative. So, again, before we get into it, let's see what each of these mean. So, argumentative. Argumentative is when author takes a position and defends it. So it will for defending a position, the author might include some claims, some counter claims, and give some evidences based on some studies or those kind of things. So when there is this, there are several lines, but this is just one of the examples from the passage, that cryptocurrencies are dangerous and must be regulated. So this is a position that this is one argument, a position that author is taking, that they are dangerous and they should be regulated. This position author has taken, and then author has given so many examples, so many arguments in the favor of this position that the author has taken. So this is being argumentative. Then explanatory, that is very much evident from the name. It explains a concept or a system or idea. So it has that very objective tone. It gives a step by step explanation. I mean, it's very fairly simple. That explanatory means that you're just trying to explain something. So when the author says money is created when the banks issue loans, the author has tried to explain how the conventional money credit system works at various places in the passage. So that's an explanatory approach. Then expository. So here again, facts are presented in some sort of, it's trying to inform you. These are not opinions, but it's information. For example, this is at one point, this line has been given, but this doesn't mean the whole passage is expository. For example, this line says the South Sea bubble occurred in 1720 and caused financial ruin. So just facts are presented neutrally just to inform you, because the author was trying to explain something. I mean, give you was introducing a concept at this point. So this is not an opinion. This is just a piece of information to give you. Okay, this happened in 1720s in Britain, something of that sort. So that is expository. Then descriptive, using vivid detail to paint a picture. It appeals to senses or visual. So descriptive is like you're trying to paint a picture. Sometimes when you're describing something, you went to some place and you describe to your friend that how that place was. How, I mean, it was beautiful landscape. It had mountains. It had grass, a river flowing, those kind of things. So this is describing a landscape. So for example, you tell your friend that his hair looked like a bird's nest after a hurricane. So you're describing somebody's hair. Then narrative. That means telling a story or sequence of events. So it might have some character, some setting, there's a progression, this happened, then this happened, followed by this. When you like talking to your friend and you're trying to tell, okay, you know what, where I was coming, I saw something, and then I saw this person, this person was talking to this person, and then they started fighting. So this is some sort of storytelling going on. So this is a narrative tone type. For example, if you're telling your friend, one day I tried to bake a cake and three fire alarms later, I ordered pizza. So like, that's narrative tone. So now based on the explanation, we understand that the tone of the whole passage is argumentative and explanatory. So the author has taken a position. The author is telling that the cryptocurrencies are dangerous, and the current credit money system is much much better, and there are a lot of myths that have been floated by the crypto enthusiasts. They should not be believed, and the author is explaining why. So it's argumentative and explanatory. Okay. Okay, we are left with one more question. What do the cryptocurrency enthusiasts rely on? A. Exemption from regulation. B. Privatization of money. C. Disconnection of money from the economy. So, again, we have seen this line and we were reading it also. Yeah, the one in the gray. Cryptocurrency enthusiasts are leaning on policymakers to permit them to be exempt from regulation, privatize money, and make money disconnected from the economy. So, all of the above. So if you have like at this point also you wouldn't even need to go back, but again, just to be sure, give 2-3 seconds, go back to the passage and be sure that okay, all three are there. There is no trap in the option, because there can be some trap in the option also. So for to avoid that, you go back to passage and 3 seconds, three terms, and done. All of the above. So again, I have made a summary of when you were reading the passage. You see that there are viewpoints in the passage. Rich people supportive of the cryptocurrency, and they can do whatever experiment they want. Crypto enthusiast, negative view for them. Then the structure is there is a criticism of crypto. It starts with crypto is dangerous. Then there's a defense of fiat system. Fiat system is the physical money system that we already have, coins and all those things. Crypto is a digital money system. Then the passage goes on to explain about the money creation, how it is done, and what different myths are there in the market and how they should not be believed. Then the tone of the passage is very much evident from the first line. It is critical of cryptocurrency. It is explanatory of the banking system. It is sympathetic to the poor. It is indifferent towards the rich. So these tonalities are very much evident in the passage. Then the argument, crypto is dangerous. It can cause bubble. The current money credit system is flawed, but the best available option. The main point of the whole passage is that the cryptocurrencies are risky illusion. The fiat system, that is the current physical money system, it needs defending and understanding. So this is the whole, when you are reading the whole passage, you have to have these broad ideas in your mind, stamped in your mind, so that when you reach the question, you already have a picture about the passage. So that's the two passages that we were to attempt in today's lecture. With this, we have come to the end of our lecture, and I would want you to understand that in CLAT, English is not about reading long texts. It's about knowing what to look for, when to stop reading, and how to spot traps. Time is your hidden enemy, but with smart practices, you'll turn it into your greatest ally. So be mindful of that. Keep practicing. Thank you.